Tantor Audio presents What Doesn't Destroy Us by M.N. Forgy, narrated by Maxine Mitchell and Joe Arden. Chapter 1. Dani. I'm startled awake from a commotion coming from the stairs. The room is black, and my vision is blurry from lack of sleep. I blink a couple of times and look for the clock on my dresser. 2:15 a.m. You have got to be kidding me. I roll back over and angrily close my eyes. I'm sure it's my mother coming home late from work with Stephen. Stephen is my mother's boss, or co-worker, I'm not sure. Hell, I don't even know what their jobs are. I don't really care, either. She's also dating him, which I find very desperate. Their relationship is weird, and my mother is very private about whatever they are. He's rich and handsome, and he's the sole reason we're living in this savvy apartment in the heart of New York. My mom has mentioned that he has a trust fund from his grandparents and that his family is wealthy. I'm sure she told me this as an explanation for moving from the dump we were in. She was a dancer at that time, and I questioned how we could afford this new place. Without warning, my bedroom door is flung open and slams against the wall, filling the room with a loud thud. The lights flicker on, and my mother rushes to my bed, throwing the blankets off me. My eyes feel like they've been slapped, and I wince at the unwelcome brightness. "What the hell, Mom?" I yell, still half asleep. "Come on, get out of bed, get dressed, and pack a small bag." My eyes snap open and widen at my mother's appearance. Her usually sleek chocolate hair is a tangled mess, and there is dried blood from a cut on her cheek. I've never seen my mother so distraught before, and I'm completely taken back by it. "Stop staring at me and pack a bag. Now, we don't have much time." My mother snaps at me before I even open my mouth to ask what happened. Why was she so beat up? Who did this to her? Where's Stephen? And where the hell are we going? I have all these questions and no answers, but I know better than to ask. The look in my mother's eyes and the tone in her voice is not to be reckoned with. My heart jump-starts at the notion, and I grab my suitcase. I look down at what I'm wearing. A skimpy t-shirt and panties. I grab a pair of blue jeans, a blue fitted t-shirt, and my black knee-high boots. It's not classy, but it will have to do. I run into my bathroom and brush my dark brown wavy hair. Staring at my reflection, I notice my green eyes look sunk in from lack of sleep, making them seem dull. My eyes are my signature. They are very bright green, almost inhuman. I've been told my eyes are like pools of green ivy. Whatever that means. I throw my hair up in a messy bun and comb through my side-swiped bangs. I throw some things I've gathered from the bathroom into the suitcase laying open on my bed, along with some extra clothes and shoes. I grab a few other things like my purse, iPod, and sunglasses and head downstairs. My mother's already waiting for me by the door. I notice the blood is clear from her cheek, but her face is still red and a little swollen. She's now wearing a clean white blouse that buttons up the middle. She always dresses to perfection, even in her worst hour, which could possibly be right now. I wish she would tell me what's going on. Am I in danger? "Come on, Dani, we are going to miss our flight," she says, irritated. "Mom, what the hell is going—" She cuts me off by walking out the door of our apartment and into the elevator. I growl in frustration and follow after her. My mom walks to the curb and yells for a cab. The cool breeze sweeps around, plastering my olive skin with goosebumps. I look up at the tall buildings, taking in as much as I can. This might be the last time I see them. A yellow cab pulls up, and my mom bangs on the trunk. It makes a popping noise as it is released. She throws in her bag and yanks mine from my hand and flings it in, too. "JFK," She tosses at the driver, avoiding eye contact with me. Quickly, please. The ride to the airport is silent. I have so many questions, but am afraid of the answers I may get in return. I know I should ask, but I can't bring myself to speak the words. So I just stare out the window, silently saying goodbye to my life. Well, what life that I have? I have friends, but nobody close enough to notice I'm gone. I have a job at the local coffee shop, but they'll just replace me. Actually, being put in such a desperate situation goes to show that I really don't have much to show for my life. It's depressing. Having an overbearing mother does that to you. She doesn't allow much of a social life, so of course, finding friends in college that like to just stay in and watch movies is hard. Hell, I just celebrated my 21st birthday and it was depressingly typical. Fancy dinner, wine, and parents included. We arrive at the airport and the cab driver gets our bags out of the car while Mom throws some cash in his seat. I grab my suitcase and follow her. I slow my walk as she heads toward a big, burly man with a big gut, who has his arms crossed in front of his chest. He's wearing torn blue jeans and a black t-shirt where tattoos seem to snake out and claim every inch of his hairy arms. My mother walks right up to him, her body language confident, so I double my step to catch up. As I get closer, I see his leather vest has patches on it. The left patch reads, Trigger, and the right reads, Ghost MC. My breath catches in my throat. MC? As in motorcycle club? I have seen enough documentaries and TV shows to know bike clubs are not a force to be messed with. I look a little lower on his leather cut and see a diamond-shaped patch that says 1%. My throat seizes up tighter as I try to speak, worried what my mom's intentions are. I don't remember exactly what the 1% means, but I know it's bad. Mom? She throws her hand up to shut me up. What the hell is she doing? This is not some casual pedestrian to ask for directions. I'm Lady. Do you have something from Bull? My mother says assuredly. Lady? Her name is not Lady, it's Sadie. And who the hell is Bull? The scary man called Trigger eyes her up.
Yeah. Here are your plane tickets. Bull pulled some strings to get you on the next flight. You've got an hour before the flight leaves to L.A.
The big burly man hands my mother an envelope, his voice deep and ominous. He points at my mother.
You tell Bull this makes us even.
He looks at me and then at my mother.
Safe trip, ladies,
he says as he walks away. Yeah, thanks, she says, opening the folder to peek inside. What the hell? She acted as if she was talking to a damned Girl Scout. She isn't fazed at all, but I am about to piss myself. Mind telling me what the fuck is going on? I curse at my mother, tired of this whole charade. Her eyes widen at my language. She is not pleased. Go figure. My whole life I've been told how to act and what to say. Always told to stay on the right path. The path my mother and Stephen are paving for me. It pretty much consists of nothing but school. Little does she know I am still undecided on my college major. She'd have a stroke if she knew I didn't have my whole life planned out. She has never let me do anything wild or reckless. She always catches me right before and then yells at me about how I act just like my father. And she didn't go through hell to give me a better life, a better path for me to mess it up. It seems like that is the only time she is around, to tell me what a failure I am. The last time I tried to gain any independence, I was 19 and I was tired of being on lockdown. You look smoking hot. If you don't get laid tonight, there's no hope for womankind, Daisy says, eyeing my strapless black dress. You look pretty hot yourself, I compliment Daisy, giving a sultry wink. Daisy was the new girl working at the coffee shop whom I'd taken a liking to. She knew of a club that didn't card, so we were headed out in hopes of hooking up with a hunk. I eyed myself in the mirror one last time. Black dress, red heels, and red purse. Yep, I looked like a vixen. A half hour later, still giggling, we arrived at the club only to find my mother and Stephen waiting at the entrance. Fuck. Motherfuck! Danielle Lexington, what are you thinking? My mother said, grabbing my arm tightly. Get off! I yelled at her, making a scene. You look like a prostitute. Get your ass back in that cab and go home now. She yells in my face, spit flying against my skin. I'm 19 years old. I'm an adult. You can't boss me around anymore. I yelled back at her, pulling my arm back with vengeance. You want to be an adult? Act like one, she hissed back. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Rage filled my spine. I wanted to punch the woman who calls herself my mother. I'm done with your shit. I have enough money to move out, I said calmly, ready to finally see the blow on her face from me abandoning her. It took me nearly a year to save, but I finally had enough for a decent start. A start without my mother. She smirked, making my unusual courage flee. Oh, honey, she sneered. I've already cleared that account. You have nothing. Then she grinned like the devil, making me gasp in horror. What? I asked, mortified yet completely enraged. Go ahead. Leave. Move out. Go live in the streets. You came from trash. You might as well live like it, she said, pointing out for the millionth time how I'm nothing but my father's spawn. Finally, someone she despises more than me. My father. Whoever he is. That's what I thought. Get back in that cab. She pushed me in the direction of the cab. I will try to explain on the plane, Dani. We don't have time right now. My mother's whisper, as she grabs my hand, pulls me from my trip down memory lane. I find out later that the only reason I got caught that night was because of my damned neighbor that lived on the floor under us. She was my mom's little mouse, always spying on me. She was outside when we got home that night, so pleased I arrived safely and asking my mother if she did her job right. Her job, at ratting me out, that is. I was an adult and trapped living with my mom. My mother's and my relationship is a go-along to get along kind of thing. Even if I'm miserable. Sometimes the streets didn't sound so bad. It's another hour before we climb aboard the flight. I'm still curious how Trigger got us plane tickets so quickly, and who is Bull? My mother sighs loudly, grabbing my attention. I suppose I should tell you the whole story, my mother says as she runs her hands over her face, irritated. Yeah, that would be nice, I respond sarcastically. I met your father at a party in LA about 22 years ago. He was quite good-looking. You look a lot like him. She looks over at me, her face unreadable. I'm not sure if I'm bringing her painful memories or good ones. But judging by the way she acts toward me, I'm guessing painful. We were at a party when some drunk men started harassing me and a friend. My friend sprinted off, but I wasn't as quick. The nasty men advanced on me. I was outnumbered. They pushed me to the ground, smacked me around, and started to... She takes a deep breath before continuing. Well, that's when your father showed up. He beat them to a bloody pulp. She starts to chuckle at the thought, which I find frightening. He made them get on their knees and apologize to me. One even pissed himself. She shakes her head as if to clear the thought. I rode to his house on the back of his motorcycle and thought it was the beginning of something special. Thought being the key word. I dropped out of school and my parents disowned me after they found out I was dating someone from a motorcycle club. She sighs heavily. So much regret is evident in her voice. I almost feel sorry for her. We were together day and night for about 5 months. Then I told him I loved him and he changed. He didn't call me or talk to me for days, so I went looking for him and found him with some club whore. I jetted out of there on the first plane I could get. She pauses and looks out at the loading passengers. Anyway, I found out a month later I was pregnant. I didn't want the same path for you, so I didn't tell him. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. He made it pretty clear he didn't want anything to do with me. So I made my way to provide for you, to make sure you took the right path. Not like me or your father. She finishes with tears in her eyes and takes a ragged breath. I can tell she doesn't want to tell me any of this. Are you with me so far? She asks as her spine stiffens and she sits up straighter in her seat. Pity mode must be over with. My head is a complete blur of information. I am following her, but feel my nerves fraying around the edges. Actually, I could use a drink, I say, raising my hand to catch the stewardess's attention. All this incoming information has me feeling catastrophic. Dani, no! What are you, a drunk? She asks, eyes wide, shaking her head in disappointment. Oh, no. We wouldn't want someone to think that, would we? I mock. She's always worrying about what others think about her. My behavior giving her the worst of her labels with a child who acts like her deadbeat dad. She turns her head the opposite direction. Just like your father, she whispers, annoyed. Only in my mother's eyes would a beer render me as a drunk. Even after hearing the crap she just laid on me. You going to tell me what happened to your face? And why you're suddenly telling me about my father? I ask, resenting her by the minute for keeping all this from me. I am never allowed to ask about my father. He is just a sperm donor as far as my mother is concerned. So I'm confused why she is spilling everything I have ever wanted to know now. Snapping her head in my direction, she loudly says, I'm getting there. Gaining attention from everyone around us, too. Lowering her voice, she continues. When I left your father, I was a waitress at a restaurant in New York for several years. But it just wasn't enough. So I started dancing in clubs for money. It was sleazy, but paid the bills and bought you dolls. She turns her head away again, avoiding eye contact. Whoa! You were a stripper? I ask, shocked. Now my voice is too loud and causes everyone to turn in their seats to look at us. Shh! Dani! She says, stabbing me with her eyes and gesturing with her hands for me to lower my volume. I was an entertainer, she says, completely convinced there's a difference in the two. Stripper, I mumble under my breath. I cannot believe what I am hearing. My mother was a stripper. I knew she was a dancer, but I never would have thought she stripped in a million years. When I was a kid and she told me she was a dancer, I thought she did Broadway shows or something. I can't believe she's been keeping all this from me. All I have ever been told about my father is that he is trash and doesn't want anything to do with us. Well, apparently just my mom. He doesn't even know I exist. I didn't know he was in a motorcycle club or that my mother would ever be into a biker. Stephen started showing up every night and asking for me by name, she says, grabbing me back from my frantic thoughts. He told me I didn't need to be in a place like that and I should let him take care of me. I hesitated at first, of course. However, the bills got to be too much to live in New York, and my parents weren't talking to me. Then Stephen and I started to connect, so I agreed. He gave me a job and provided things for you and me, and I fell in love with him. Until last night, that is. She closes her eyes tightly to avoid looking at me again. Tension suddenly creeps in the air between us, catching me off guard. I focus on her mindfully, trying to figure out why the sudden uneasiness. We were in Stephen's office working late, and his cell phone started ringing. When he answered, it's like his attitude did a 180. He told me to get my things and go home immediately. I guess I wasn't fast enough, though. 2 police officers came walking into the office, followed by Stephen's 2 security guards. I was at my desk, shutting down my computer, when I heard 2 gunshots. I ran into the office, scared they had shot Stephen and his guards. She pauses and scratches her forehead, where I notice beads of sweat forming. When I saw the cops dead on the floor, I ran. I heard Stephen order his guards to chase me. One caught me, and I fought back, only to be slapped by him. I kicked him in the balls and ran to the elevator. She says, frantically. Her words are flying out of her mouth so quickly I can barely keep up. She stumbles. Her eyes are wide with a look of disbelief. Stephen came out of his office pointing a gun at me. But luckily the elevator doors closed before he started shooting. Her body is tense, trembling and avoiding. She isn't telling me the whole story. My mother is a crappy liar. Based on her sweating, stumbling words and frantic state, I am sure she is definitely hiding something. This makes me nervous. The danger we appear to be in must be severe. I should know everything, and I don't. I called your father. He's going to protect us until we figure out our next move, she says, finally looking in my direction. Her body suddenly seems calm and appeased. My father? I stutter, confused why we are running to a guy my mother has wanted to keep away from me. The last person I ever thought my mother would run to for help. Anyway, Stephen's a powerful man. I'm not sure how deep his pockets go, so leaving New York is our best option. She looks at me for a reaction, avoiding my question about my father. Bull will protect us, she says, nodding her head, so sure of herself. This is a lot to take in, I say as I exhale, noticing for the first time I've been holding my breath. My index finger and thumb are worrying my bottom lip as well, which is something I apparently do when I'm nervous, according to my shrink, Victoria. When I was younger, my mother said I acted so much like my father it worried her, making her feel I needed a shrink. Truth is, I hate Victoria. She always sides with my mother, even when I know she is wrong. The only thing Victoria ever made sense of was the nervous habit I have of playing with my bottom lip. I didn't used to even realize I was doing it, but now I catch myself when I'm lying or nervous. Or both. Look, I know you can't understand right now, my mother says as she grabs one of my hands in both of hers. This new affection is lost on me. She hasn't shown any maternal instinct since she went to work for Stephen. I drop my fingers from my lips and feel my body stiffen at the contact. We need the type of help only an outlaw club like your father belongs to can give us. I won't let them hurt you or drag you into their world of hell. You won't be like them, Dani. You have a future. Don't forget that, she says, looking directly into my eyes. Okay, I say, shocked at the Mother of the Year suddenly sitting in front of me. They are outlaws, Dani. They will drag you into their perverse way of life, she says with a loud sigh. They're ruthless and pigs. Do not let them mislead you. She starts biting her bottom lip, reaching up to turn off our overhead lights. As usual, she's done talking about this, and no amount of arguing will change her mind. But why will my father help us if he doesn't care about us? Did she tell my father about me on the phone? If this biker club is so morally wrong, why are we running to them for help? Chapter 2. Dani. I awake as the plane lands and am surprised to realize that I could sleep after all the shit my mother has doled out in the past few hours. I shuffle behind her to the luggage carousel and wait what seems like forever, but is only a few minutes before we see them on the conveyor belt. I grab mine as it rolls up and head for the nearest exit. As I walk out of the airport, the sunlight pummels my sensitive eyes. I stop and reach into my purse for my sunglasses. As my eyes are adjusting, I realize my mother is no longer beside me. I'm not sure who we're looking for, but I notice a large SUV with two black, slick-looking motorcycles parked behind it in the no parking zone. There are two men with the bikes, and I take a moment to check them out. I'm hoping my sunglasses keep me from looking like I'm staring. One of the guys is leaning against his bike. He is older, maybe in his 40s. A black bandana is wrapped around his head. Long, dirty blonde hair flows from beneath it and rests on his well-built shoulders. A long beard and matching thick mustache are the same dirty blonde, but with white speckles. His mustache is so thick it covers his mouth to the point I can barely tell he has lips. He's wearing a black leather vest over a white t-shirt and black jeans, which reminds me a bit of Trigger from the airport in New York. His legs are crossed out in front of him as he leans on one of the bikes, while his fingers twirl a toothpick in his mouth. His attempt at looking casual isn't fooling me. His whole image screams outlaw. The other guy is facing away from me. He has black choppy hair on top of his head, and it is shorter on the sides. The back of his leather sleeveless jacket has a skeleton hand crushing a skull on it. It reads, Devil's Dust, above the crushed skull, and California under it. He's wearing a white shirt with blue jeans and black motorcycle boots. He turns, and I stop in my tracks. He's stunning. Gorgeous, even, and he just oozes bad boy. His skin is tan, and I can see his tattoo peeking out from under the short sleeve on his left bicep. I can't make out what it is, though. He looks younger than the other man, maybe in his early 30s. I see his lips turn into a cocky smirk, and I realize he's caught me looking at him. Shit. I smile back. Looking into his eyes, I find they're a bright blue. Of course, they're blue. The contrast with his dark hair is striking, and those blue eyes have an animalistic presence to them. He stretches his arms out and then crosses them in front of his chest. The fabric of his white t-shirt stretches tight around his arm muscles in the process. My lips suddenly part. I can't breathe at the danger standing in front of me, yet I'm completely intrigued at the same time. Surprisingly, I feel safe for the first time since my mother woke me up in the middle of the night. I have no idea why. He seems anything but safe. My mother grabs my arm as she catches up and, to my dismay, starts in their direction. My mind is still slowly processing the information she shelled out on the plane. I remember we're seeking protection from a motorcycle club and let her pull me along. The older guy rises from his bike as we approach, and the younger one turns toward my mother.
Lady, I presume?
The delicious biker says to her. As we get closer, I can see the patch on the front of his vest reads Shadow. He is even more seductive up close. But behind all that beauty, I sense a beast. He has the look of someone who's been damaged, but has a natural allure to hide it. I feel my thighs squeezing.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?